So as our normals in some way represented using color values, they represented the direction of a pixel. What a position pass is represents the position of a pixel in space. Now, there is no explicit render element for world position or camera position or any other position pass. You actually get them for free if you create a denoiser pass. If you create a denoiser pass, it will create a normals pass and a position pass for free. It's part of the denoiser algorithm. However, I'm also going to show you a method to create them explicitly because you may be required to not create a world position but some other form of position pass, and I would also like to explain what they are. So the workflow to create a positions pass is very similar to the workflow we use to create our ambient occlusion pass. So I'm in fact going to delete this one that I already created and make it again. I'm going to go to our outliner. I'm going to grab our geometry, all of our geometry. There we are. And I am now going to layers, create a layer from selected. I'm going to call it pWorld. Okay. So we have the pWorld. Now what we're going to do is, with those still selected, we will right click and assign a new material override. Again, we're going to use a VRay light material. And of course, when we look at the attribute editor, that's the color of that is just white. We will now move to the Hypershade editor. So Windows, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And we'll grab this, we'll call this pWorld. It will probably number it up because I've already got a pass called pWorld. And now I'm going to press this button to bring it into the graph. Now, what we need to do is we need to create a sampler info node. A sampler info node just kind of grabs general information and spits out numbers. So what we want to spit out are the points in the world, the X, Y, and the Z, and where we want to put them, store them, is in the RGB values. So we're not really using these as red, green, and blue. We're just using these as arrays in which to keep our numbers. We're going to keep our position data for X in our red number, the position within Y in our green color, and our Z within the blue. So if I now look at this material override in the scene, it looks very, very funky. It looks pretty bizarre, but it may be easier if I create a simple object. Let's create a nice little sphere, and then let's just do Control-1 to isolate select so we only have the sphere. Go to our perspective view, and there we have it. So it's got these funky colors on it. Now if I start moving it around, it actually changes color depending on where it is. So the three numbers are representing its position in X, Y, and Z space. So it will change color. Now you won't be able to see all the colors. Some of the color values will be higher than 1, so they'll just appear white, but they are in fact big numbers. And there will be negative numbers in Cartesian space. Remember, you get negative numbers when you go this way, when you go down, and so forth. So those are actually still numbers that are there and still being used. So I'm going to delete the sphere, and I'm going to just bring back the rest of my scene, and we're going to return to our camera view. Now, an important thing we need to do within our light pass is we need to emit on the back side, otherwise we will have holes in our render. In fact, I will show you that. So if I don't have that switched on and I hit render, we get these nasty little holes sometimes where we have the back of something. So I'm just going to switch that on to clean it up a little bit. And there we have it. So these values look crazy, but remember that many of these values that seem to be pure white are in fact values way over 1. There may be many values that appear to be black, which are in fact negative numbers. So we will take these into Nuke and see what we can do with them.